Hey, it's Kevin from Cruising with Wheels, and you can see I'm all bundled up today. Why? Because I'm giving you 5 tips for your New England and Canada cruise. So our first tip for you New England and Canada cruisers is, no matter what time of the year it is, your temperatures can drop. Usually in the morning it starts out in the 60s, and it could be in the 70s or 80s over the period of the day, but in the evening the temperature has dropped to as low as 55 degrees. So we want you to bring along a fleece like I'm wearing today, or a hooded sweatshirt, something to protect your ears, and we always bring our little dollar cheapo gloves, because if you lose them, it's no big deal. As a matter of fact, we bring a couple of pairs just in case, and it's nice to hand out to your fellow cruisers when their little hands are cold too. We also want to remind you to pack your clothing so that you can dress in layers. It's always a good idea because it'll be chilly on the boat, but also when you're ashore on your excursions, you might get hot. So you'd want to take off a layer, or perhaps you get chilly. You want to put on a layer. So make sure you pack layered clothing. Our second tip is bring along a pair of binoculars and a good camera with lots of SD cards. Why, you might ask? You're going to New England. I mean, what's there to photograph? Well, let me tell you. You might see birds and lots of other kinds of wildlife. Here in upstate New York, we already know the pleasure of beautiful changing fall foliage, but perhaps you're coming from someplace where the seasons don't change. Well, let me tell you, you're going to get some of the greatest pictures you'll ever take of the fall foliage changing. And don't forget, you might be taking a whale watch excursion, and they are magnificent creatures that you will want to capture for all of your friends and family to see when you get home. Now, number 3 is something that you probably haven't thought of. You need to pack sunscreen. Heed my advice. I can tell you firsthand. I live in upstate New York, and I wear sunscreen all year round. That's right, all year round. We have temperatures that dip below 0, and you can still get a sunburn. So heed my advice, pack some sunscreen, and bring along your aloe or sunburn just in case you get a little bit crispy. The 4th tip that we have for you has to do with money and currency. Now, we typically suggest that you bring along cash to spend in port, and that's because in the Caribbean islands, you usually get American money back for change. Well, if you're going to be visiting any Canadian ports, they are going to give you back Canadian currency. So what we suggest that you use your credit card or a debit card. Now, our personal preference is a credit card, and we always make sure that we check with the company to make sure what their exchange rate is and if there are any fees involved with using that credit card in a foreign country. And yes, people, Canada is a foreign country. Now, our last and final tip, tip number 5 for today, is do your research on the ports that you're going to be visiting. Now, that seems like pretty common sense, right? However, I need to tell you that New England and Canada typically isn't like the Caribbean. There aren't usually excursion companies sitting there waiting for you to get off the boat. And in some instances, these shore excursion companies have special deals with the cruise lines, so they're not allowed to sell you an excursion once you get off the boat. So I say do your research ahead of time. Pick an excursion that you like in each port. Book it with the cruise line, and then you're always guaranteed that you're not going to miss the boat. So I want to let you know to keep your eyes open, because I will be also doing a video on the top 10 shore excursions for New England and Canada cruise ports. Until then, I want to remind you that we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now Snapchat. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, click that little subscribe button, and if you want notifications, click the bell. That'll get you all of our latest videos and let you know if and when we're live. So until then, I want to remind you to travel safe and cruise often.